Hey, this is Sarah Grabot, and you are listening to Line for Line Podcast.
I'm in love with the grind. I'm in love with the culture. Do this for the fam. Do this for Kenosha. You know I got you, Kenosha. If you got the vision, then come a little closer. Let's get it together. Line for line with the soldiers. I'm in love with the grind. I'm in love with the culture. Do this for the fam. Do this for Kenosha. Yeah. If you got the vision, then come a little closer. Let's go.
All right, and just like that, we're back in another episode of Line for Line. We have a very special young lady in the building today. We'll go ahead and let her introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Sarah Grabot. I'm a 16-year-old junior at Indian Trail High School and Academy.
Yes, ma'am. And before we get ready to get started, we're just going to do a little bit different. Just tell us a little bit about the sport that you're into and why you chose that sport.
It's kind of a long story, not long story, but it's definitely a story. So from ages 4 to 10, I was in gymnastics. I competed across Wisconsin and whatnot. And you know, I love the sport, but it became too much. And at the time, my older brother, when he was, I think, in kindergarten or first grade, and so I was, you know, pre-K, he was getting bullied on the bus. So my mom brought him to TaeKwonDo. My mom joined with him. Then they started doing it together. I was still in gymnastics, right? And so then my little brother joined. They all had their black belts and whatnot. And then after 6 years of gymnastics, I was 10 years old in fifth grade. Well, the summer before fifth grade. Something clicked and I was done with gymnastics. I fell out of love with it and I joined TaeKwonDo, and it was just like, this is it. And like, you know, I knew I wanted to be the best. So, you know, of course, the best is gold at the Olympics. So that's just always been my dream. So but TaeKwonDo is an art. It's a martial art. So there's like a sport aspect and then the art aspect. So, you know, there's the morals and the stories that come along with it. So, you know, I teach the 4 to 6 year olds at our school, the Junior Dragons.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So, it's my job and I get paid for it, but I don't really see it as a job. And, you know, it's just something I love to do, which, you know, a job should be. And so, you know, we teach them discipline and respect and self-confidence and all of that stuff. And so there's that. And then there's also the sport aspect of it. So I fight girls for fun.
What?
But, you know, I do it with rules, of course. I'm not just going to people and, you know, jumping them. But, so, you know, before I had actually joined, I had started going to the tournament trainings after my gymnastics practices. And that's how I kind of, you know, shimmied my way in. And so with fighting, you know, there's rules, you know, you're up against the same gender, the same weight category and the same age category. So right now I'm female, 15 to 17, minus 68 kilograms. And then basically you're put in brackets and you fight each other. So, you know, there's 3 rounds. As a junior, each round is 1 minute and 30 seconds and then a minute break in between. And then, you know, there's rules. But basically my worth is based off of how many times I can kick somebody in the chest or the head. So,
oh my gosh. So getting ready to go into the sport, what were some thoughts going through your head? Were you like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get beat up. I'm going to beat someone else up. What was that like? You know,
it's always when I first started, like going into those like smaller tournaments, it was like, you know, I'm gonna beat these girls up, and you know, sometimes I lost. You know, I didn't actually win like my first real match at like a small tournament until I was a black belt, and oh my gosh, that was amazing. And I was in fifth grade, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just won this tournament. And now looking back, it's like, wow, but because I've come so far, you know, looking back, you know, as I was, you know, that yellow belt, that green belt, realistically, I would not have gotten this far. But, you know, mentally, it's all a mental game. So, you know, there's some matches that I go into and I'm so nervous because, you know, that's just how I am, because, you know, these girls are really good and this girl is really good and this girl is ranked number 1 and this girl is ranked number 1. And then there's the other aspect where it's like, you know, I got this. You know, I've knocked out a few boys in my time.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes. So, you know, that's beating the people up is what helps, you know, build your confidence and, you know, making sure that, you know, your training is on point and, you know, there's a certain point where you're like, you know, I got this. And, you know, even if I lose, it's just a learning opportunity and learning point. So
for those listeners at home, just take us a little bit about what the preparation is like getting ready to head into a match.
Oh my gosh, it is nerve-wracking. So, before the match, the day before, you got to weigh in. And so weighing in has always been like crazy for me because it's like, well, what if I don't make weight? What if I, I'm over this certain amount, So that's the first part that I got to get through with. And then, match day comes, and usually I'm up all night waiting for that bracket to come out. And I shouldn't be doing that, but I do. I do. And I see which girl is first. And if I beat her, or when I beat her, then I will move on to the next, and then move on to the next. But I definitely get nervous. So the day of, fight day, I wake up, and, usually pretty early. And, when I was in Colorado this past November, got up at like 7, did some training because the altitude was crazy, so I needed to adjust to that. Then usually I like to put on my headphones, listen to, my hype up music. And so I get in my zone, and I don't focus on anyone else or anything else. And I just continue to imagine me beating the crap out of somebody. Yeah. And so, usually when my mom comes, she's a referee. So she'll ref the matches, and usually I'm at the hotel alone. And then I walk to the venue, and, I have my uniform on and my belt on, and I just feel like on top of the world. So I'm walking and I'm strutting my ways until I get to the venue. I'm usually like an hour or two early. Then, I'm stretching out in the holding areas. It's usually chaotic in there. I wait for my bout number to get called. My bout number gets called, I go up. I also have Sour Patch Kids.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Those are I don't know what it is about them, but they just give me luck. It's the only thing I can eat on fight day. I don't know why. Anything else just comes right back out. So Sour Patch Kids it is. But, I focus on that. And then, they call the bout number. I go up. I see the girl, look her dead in the eyes. So she knows what's up. And then, they bring us out to the ring. I'm nervous, but I can't show that. And then, they call you out. They call blue and red. They say Chung Hung, you go. And so, and then it's just who's a better fighter from there.
Yes, ma'am. What would you say has been the most difficult task to master when it comes to the art of Taekwondo?
The mentality is definitely, I'd say it tops anything physical, because, you could be the most talented person, but if your mind isn't in the right mindset, then you're kind of screwed. I had quit for like a month, and right before COVID happened, and I was just stressed, and I was done with it because I'm having panic attacks every tournament training, and I'm like going crazy, and I was done with it. And I just started high school. I was like, what, this isn't for me anymore. But then COVID hit, I got bored, so I joined back. It's all the mentality. It's like you hit this bump in the road. Is it worth keeping going? Is it worth it to keep going? Or, is your time done? And I think that mentality of you need to keep going, you need to push on because you have that dream, you have that goal to be the best. You need to stick with it because one day it's going to happen. No matter how long it takes, you will get there. But the mentality has always been probably my biggest struggle with it.
Of course. Who are some role models that you have when it comes to keeping you on track and keeping your head in the game?
There's a few Olympic gold medalists. Jade Jones, 2-time Olympic gold medalist from Great Britain. She didn't even medal at this past Olympics. And so, but she's still fighting. She just fought at the President's Cup in Albania. She's still going. Anna Zalotic, who was the American fighter who won gold at this past Olympics. Nice. She's 18. That's crazy. I'm 16. That could be me in a few years.
Yeah, it's gonna be you in a few years.
Yep. a Thailand fighter, Panapak Wongpattanakit. I think I said that right. You know, I think she got bronze at her first Olympics, and she went out there and she won again. It's all about, you know, continuing to push forward. So I guess, and also myself. I mean, I have gotten through a lot of hardships that I thought I wouldn't be able to. And I think knowing that I was able to get through those, that I can get through them again. So if I reach that, you know, that hardship, I look back and I'm like, you know what? I got through that. I can do it again. So
what's a piece of motivation that you've been given throughout the years with this that you would give to the next up-and-comer fighter or martial artist?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
That's a good question. Stick with it. You have your dream. You have your goal. You will get there. You train, you work hard, you find whatever opportunity you can and you take it, whether it's scary or it's not scary, or, you know, whether you're confused or not confused, ask questions, get all the information that you can, and then go out there and surprise everybody and shock everybody.
Yes, ma'am. Now, as we know that the sports world is just flooded with men's athletics as well, too.
Yes.
What are some things that you feel helps you make women's sports stand out more?
You know, I'm a girl, right? And everybody's like, do things like ladies, do this like ladies. Nuh-uh. That's not how it works, right? So being able to have knocked out 2 boys and saying, I've gotten, you know, KOs on 2 boys. And everybody's like, wow. And I'm like, do you want to be my third? You want to be my third? And they're like, oh, I don't think so. Yeah. But, you know, it really is a men-dominated, I think, idealistic. You know, you see like MMA fighters and kickboxing. It's a lot of men. It's a lot of, you know, boys doing it. You see the boys on the TV. You don't see a lot of the girls. And then, you know, you're meeting a new person and they're like, oh, do you do sports? I'm like, yeah, I fight people for fun. Oh, and they're just like, what? And so it's really shocking when, you know, boys see that I could hurt them badly. But, you know, I was at this training this past weekend and, you know, the coach, I'm surprised he said this, but we were holding the paddles and he said to somebody, don't hold it like a lady. I'm like, what do you mean don't hold it like a lady? A lady can do it just as good as any man can. So, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. What are some plans for you going forward as you get ready to get closer to your USA trials?
Yeah, so I was talking to you earlier. I've got from like March until the end of July, I've got stuff like almost every weekend going on. I'd say my main focus right now is I have a talent ID camp coming up in March, the end of March, at the TaeKwonDo Olympic National Center of Excellence. It'll be the 3rd time I've been there. The first 2 were for tournaments. But now this is a training. I get to work with, you know, the Olympic coaches and the Olympic athletes, and I get to learn. At this point, I'm just trying to find anybody who will train with me. So I'm trying to do that. I've got a lot of state tournaments coming up. Hopefully, well, the U.S. Open was canceled, so that's a bummer. But hopefully the AAU Nationals in Vegas, the Grand Prix final, that's a whole different story. I won't get into that. But the Grand Prix in Oklahoma, and then USAT Nationals in Salt Lake City again. And then my goal has been, this past few months, has been to qualify for the Junior World Championships in Bulgaria. So I'm going to work towards that, and if it doesn't happen, there's always next year. I'm also looking to possibly go to Mexico or Puerto Rico for an open down there.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I'm just trying to find whatever possible to gain those ranking points, and then just kind of go
keep
up the scale.
climbing.
Yep.
Now, I did hear you say that you do teach younger kids for a
yes,
living
sir.
as well, too.
Yes,
Tell us a little bit about the joy that you get back from seeing people take on this passion and instill the same values that you taught.
Oh, those kids, 4 to 6 year olds, they are a pain in my behind. they have taken my patience level and brought it all the way to the ground. So I teach half-hour classes to little kids, and you know, it's really amazing to see them develop. They come in, a lot of them come in as like kind of rascals. They kind of do whatever they want and they don't listen and they get in trouble, and then you teach them and you show them discipline. You teach them what discipline is, knowing the rules, knowing how to follow them, being respectful, and then seeing them change. It's really delightful just to see them change and to see them grow. And you know, all of a sudden they're coming to sparring on Friday nights, and they're doing really good. And I'm like, wow, if you put in the work, you could be great, because I just see their potential, and it really makes me happy inside. It really
Have you
does.
had that one kid that reminds you of you yet?
I do.
What? What does that feel like? Just tell us a little about that.
It's, you know, he's a yellow belt, and it's crazy because he's short. He came to me as a white belt. I really think he could be, you know, really good. And, you know, I haven't seen that yet in this school in a while. And so I see that spark in him, and I really, really hope he keeps going. I really do.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So just take us through one of your most memorable bouts that you've had so far.
Well, good or bad.
Whichever.
Whatever. U.S. Open 2019. It was my first, international level tournament. I had won my first 2 matches. My third match was against Mexico.
Oh, wow.
So I have it on video. So if I wanted to go back and, you know, appeal something, I could. But it was the second round. I kicked her in the face, and she went down. She started grabbing her face. I'm like, okay, whatever. They called the medic over. She was fine. And then, so there's penalties. So if you punch somebody in the face, you'll get a gamjam, which is a penalty. And then they'll point to you. So if you're blue, they'll say chung, gamjam, and then they'll say punch to the face. I didn't punch her to the face. But, you know, I got the gamjam. It was, you know, whatever. And so the point was tied. And then after the third round, if it's tied, you go into overtime, and then the first point wins, and she got the first point. But I should have won that match. But you know, it's okay. It's okay. I still got third.
Yeah.
I still got third at the U.S. freaking Open, which was amazing for me. I was in 8th grade, you know, 12, 13 years old.
Making memorable experiences.
It really was. Yeah.
Now, as we get ready to close out, is there anyone out there that you would like to shout out, or is there a message that you would like to leave the people with, what you want to be remembered by once it's all said and done?
Pour your heart out, because that's really all it takes. Whether there's there's always going to be somebody better than you. It's undoubting. You know, there will always be somebody better than you. But you need to work to get to them. You need to work to, you know, just get to their level, and then you need to surpass them. You need to not be afraid to go after them. Not just in Taekwondo, but in anything, in, you know, team sports, individual sports. You need to put in your all, because, you know, everybody shares the same dream. And if you aren't working towards that dream, then what are you doing? You're wasting your time, and you're wasting other people's time. So pour your heart out.
That being said, young lady, we just wrapped up an amazing episode of Live Live.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you for stopping by.
Too fake. Saw them not believing what I dreamed, and that's too late. Gave them all a chance, and now they telling me I'm bougie. Birthday was in April, how they try and say I'm two-faced. Growing up with nothing, still bad.